Today's episode is one I've really been looking forward to because I'm joined by someone who's been a huge part of my business journey over the last few years, and honestly, a huge part of how I live and work now. Jo Hooper is a coach, a mentor, a retreat host, and a brilliant voice in the world of anti-hustle business. We first started working together back in 2021 when I was completely burnt out and deep in the mindset of doing more, being more, and saying yes to everything. Since then, Jo has gently and sometimes very directly helped me unpack all of the old rules I was living by and build something that actually works for me. We've also had the joy of creating together, including last year's Magic in Mijas retreat in the mountains of Malaga in Spain, which was so special and a huge success, not to mention a real turning point for both of us in so many ways. In this episode, we're talking about what it really means to build a me-first business where your well-being, capacity and joy come first, and everything else flows from there. We reflect on the work I've done with Jo, the uncomfortable but necessary unlearning, and what happens when you stop outsourcing your success and start listening to your own needs and put yourself first. It's honest, personal, and a conversation that I know will resonate with so many of you. Jo, firstly, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, what an intro. That was amazing.
Very well deserved. I could have gone on forever. We've actually had lots of shifts happen for both of us, haven't we, in the last 5 years?
Oh my gosh, yes. Life just continues to life. But yes, we have both had a lot of meanders and twists and turns over the last few years.
100%. And actually, I was recommended to you by my close friend Meg, who we both love, and I'm so thankful that she did. So back then, you were actually called the Mad and Sad Club, and now you're Wildly Free.
Yeah.
Can you share the reasons for the name change and the rebrand?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I started my business back in 2019 because I had got really unwell with my mental health. I had 2 breakdowns within 18 months, and I was working in a very classic, fast-paced, high ambition corporate environment for the previous 10 years. And after coming back to work after my second breakdown, I realized that I just couldn't keep working and living in the way that I was. And so I asked them to make me redundant, essentially, as part of a big restructure that was going on. And so when I set up my business in 2019, my aim was to help people not get to the point that I was in, not get to the point of breakdown or burnout, and help them to live and work in ways that were supportive to their mental health. And something that I and a couple of other close friends who also struggle with their mental health used to do to bring laughter to our days was WhatsApp each other when we were feeling like at our most mad and sad and say, you know, felt sick while I was brushing my teeth this morning, hashtag mad and sad club, and like share like kind of difficult moments and experiences that we were having, but bring levity and laughter to it. And so when I set up my business, I couldn't call it anything but Mad and Sad Club because it had become this thing for me and my friends. And also I've always been the person who's not afraid to say the thing that other people are afraid to say. And I'm not someone who would sit with the kind of stigma around mental health. Like as soon as I started experiencing really difficult periods with my mental health, I was really open about it at work and online and with my friends. And so it felt like a bit of a FU to the stigma around mental health. But as the years gone on and I've worked with more people and my own mental health has become more manageable, I've realized that actually what I was trying to do in helping people build a business that supports their mental health is actually I was helping them to live freer lives where they're not constrained by the ways that we're supposed to, in inverted commas, work, or the way that our kind of capitalist patriarchal society wants us to live and work and be. So I realized that what I'm really trying to do is help people live the free life that they're entitled to, because we only get one go, and why should we spend that time living by other people's rules.
Amazing. I love this. I was drawn to you by the get-go. The moment I got recommended and we had that call, I was like, I always say I'm going to think on it. And I think maybe like 5 minutes after, I was like, I'm in. I want to do that, you know, and I felt, I heard you straight away. Your message was very clear. And actually, by you being vulnerable, it allowed me to be vulnerable as well. And I think that's what draws a lot of people to you as well, is it gives them that space to be where they are right now. And then you help them get them to where they want to go, which is so incredible.
It's such an interesting point because, yeah, I do find that people that I work with or people that I have in my group spaces, that people feel very able to be very honest very quickly with me and with other people in my spaces. I'm always very aware that the work I do is not surface level. It's not like, let's look at your funnels, let's look at your ads, let's look at this. Yes, we look at the structure of your business and how it runs, but the work I do is really rooted in who you are and what you want, and ways that you feel like you've had to live and work in the past. And often that's informed by the way that you've been brought up, or the difficulties that you've experienced, or the way that your brain works. And a lot of those things are really difficult things often for people to talk about, but I often find that they don't find it difficult to talk about them with me. And I think, thank you for saying that, you know, my honesty helps other people to be honest and feel safe, because that would explain why people do feel happy and able to be honest with me right from the get-go.
Absolutely. It's such a skill as well, Jo. What do you think is important to understand about your corporate days to really understand the woman sitting in front of us today?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the thing that I've come to realize is that I, in my corporate days, used work and used my professional success or failure as a barometer of my value and importance as a person. And that drove me to extreme lengths, to be getting on the train at 6:30 in the morning to head into the office. And the train journey was 15 minutes. I wasn't commuting far. So I would be at times getting on the train at 6:30 in the morning and getting home at the earliest 8 o'clock in the evening, if not more. But I would still be in my work emails and doing work until literally midnight. And I felt constantly under threat. I felt like I was being attacked from all sides. I felt like I constantly had to prove myself. And that manifested in me overworking to the point of oblivion, to the point of breakdown. But it also manifested in me feeling angry all the time and behaving as if I was angry all the time. But the rub is that made me really good at my job. So I was rewarded for the overworking. I was rewarded for the directness. I was rewarded for being the person who didn't mind asking the questions or saying the thing. And it's taken me a lot of time to recognize that I'm still driven, I'm still ambitious, but I don't have to be driven by fear or by feeling like I needed to prove myself, which really is just a manifestation of fear. And that I don't have to work myself into oblivion to feel like a good person. I think that's like the main thing that stays with me from my corporate.
Interesting because you've literally turned that on its head now. And what you talk about a lot is a me first business. What does that mean to you?
So when I first started my business, it was a me first business out of necessity, because I cognitively, my brain could not function for 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, because I set up my business immediately after I took redundancy from my corporate job, which isn't really the actions of a balanced me first person, but I was really excited. I was still really recovering from a mental health crisis, and so I could not work all those hours. And I I knew that I didn't want to, but to begin with, it was out of necessity. I had to base my business and the way I worked and what I offered and how I offered it and how much I offered it for on what I knew I could do within the constraints of my mental health at that time. And so I find the things that other people find hard easy because I've had to do them in my business. I couldn't work 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I set out my business so that I don't have to. I couldn't say yes to everyone who came my way. So I set my pricing and my boundaries so that I didn't have to. I couldn't be available in my emails and in my client spaces 24 hours a day like I was in my old corporate job because it would be so re-traumatizing and triggering. So I made it very clear from the beginning that that wasn't what I offered and that this was. And so for me, it started from a place of necessity and now it's from a place of choice. And that's what I encourage other people to do, is to recognize, how do you actually want to live? Because I'm willing to bet you don't want to work 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. I'm willing to bet that you don't want to work with 100 people for £5 a pop. I'm willing to bet that you don't want to say yes to everyone who comes to you and fend off clients that really stress you out in your inbox every day. And you don't have to. Like, we forget that when we run our own businesses, we have so much choice. Everything is down to us. And so I think it's really important that we don't sleepwalk into running a business based on a load of rules that we don't actually want to live by.
Yeah, 100%. And what I love is that you keep mentioning the word choose and not there's no shoulds or have to. It's entirely around the clients that you work with, isn't it?
Like, we have so much choice. It's not for me to say you need to have these 3 offers. Like, what do you want to do?
And so few people actually do that. They're sort of like, it's very cookie cutter. This is what the online world looks like, or this is what the world looks like, and these are the shoulds. But you don't do that at all, which is totally tailored to the person you're working with.
And the whole shoulds thing is just another way of, not to get too deep, but like shoulds are just another way of the world oppressing you into doing what society wants you to do.
Definitely. Next question, Jo, is what does a me first business look like for you growing a business? For you personally?
So it looks like I've got a really good balance at the moment. I'm really happy with the way that my business model and my business structure and my working hours work. So right now I work with one-to-one clients 2 days a week, on a Tuesday and a Thursday. I see 2 clients a day on each day maximum. So my capacity for one-to-one clients at any one time is 8 people, because I can see 4 clients a week and people tend to go in a fortnightly or even monthly rotation. I'm available for one-to-one clients in our client spaces on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So if they want to check in with me or ask for my feedback or come to me with an issue or tell me how they're feeling, they can do that on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and I drip and drab in and out of there through the day. And then on a Wednesday, I coach in my group program, the Me First Accelerator, in the same way that I do with my one-to-one clients online. I'm in and out of there throughout the day, which means that Mondays and Fridays are always mine. So I could take a 4-day weekend every weekend if I wanted to. I can work on my secret second business if I wanted to. I can go for reflexology or have my nails done or sit in the garden reading my book for hours. I can do the things that we all have to do, write our emails, plan our Instagram content. I basically don't want to work loads, and I don't want work to be hard, and I don't believe it has to be. And so I shape my offers and put boundaries in place around my offers so that work can be easier. Like, yes, I could have said to my group program, you can access me Monday to Friday anytime you want, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to be on my computer or my phone every day of the week. So they get me for a focused day on a Wednesday, because I can give my best to them and they can know exactly what to expect and when to expect it. And then I get to have my time to myself, which is what I want.
But I mean, this leads perfectly onto the next question, which is, what is your version of being wildly free? What does that look like for you?
So my version of being wildly free is I'm not a nomad, but I'm not a settler. Like, I can't see me ever wanting to live in one place for the next 10, 20 years.
Mm.
So my version of being wildly free is having homes around the world that I can spend time in and feel settled and feel at home and feel comfortable and happy, but know that I could spend a few months in my apartment in Marseille if I wanted to. And I could spend 6 months in my house in the UK if I wanted to. And I could spend a month in my apartment in Tbilisi if I wanted to.
I love it. I love it so much.
And do you know what? I don't hear many people talking about this sort of way of living. Like, I don't want to live in a van. I do not want to pee in a cupboard in a van on wheels. No, thank you. That's not free life to me. I'm sure it's free in some ways for some people, but I don't want to live in the same place forever. Like, that thought feels very claustrophobic to me.
Yeah.
So I want my business to enable that, not just in terms of earning me the money to help buy those properties, but I want to be speaking on stages around the world so that I can travel with my work. I like to do in-person work with people. I like to host retreats. So yeah, I want my work to seamlessly enable my semi-nomadic, semi-settled life around the world.
I resonate so hard with all of that you've just said. I love it so much. Back to the me first, Jo, because this is, when I think of you, I think of me first.
Good.
It's the first thing that comes into my mind. When you started using that phrase, what were you trying to shift or challenge for people?
I wanted to shift the idea that we, and I'm speaking particularly to people who've been socialized as women, have to exist for the benefit of other people. Because what the patriarchy tells us is that, there's no denying it, we live in a patriarchal man-first society and world. You don't need to know all the stats to know that there are more men called Steve who are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies than there are women. And, you know, we've had 3 British female prime ministers. There's never been a female president of the US. The evidence is there. We don't need to have the stats. But what the patriarchy wants us to believe is that to be a good woman, we must be selfless, have no sense of self, not put ourselves first, not even consider ourselves and put others before ourselves, and that to do anything other than that is selfish. And I believe that we have one short blink of an eye life, and I want that life to be what I want it to be. I don't want to live my life for other people. And so I want to challenge women in some ways to learn to feel okay with putting themselves first, because also what that does is make you more resourced to support other people when you want to be.
Why do you think people find it so uncomfortable or like radically different?
I think for a few reasons. One, from a neuroscience development perspective, women have been taught for millennia that to be safe, they need to be accepted as part of a group, that they need to be pliant and kind and quiet and say yes. And so our brains, whose primary, most primitive function is to keep us alive and keep us safe, feel that going against that would be dangerous. Our brains tell us that saying no is dangerous. Our brains tell us that taking action or saying a thing that other people might not like is dangerous. And so we are having to retrain our brains to allow ourselves to believe that it's safe to put ourselves first. We do see that reinforced through the ages, through society and the media and responses to people, like, you know, the witch trials in the 1500s. If you were a powerful woman who showed that power to other people, you could be stoned, burned, and killed. We still genetically, I believe, and according to science, we still carry that with us. Like, if you as a species, as women, have had to adapt to survive, a generation of women have gone through experiencing the potential to be killed if they were open about their power and their skills. You learn to be quiet.
Yeah.
Because you might die.
Absolutely. What do you think you had to believe in order to change that for yourself? So going from corporate into your own business.
I think in a way I was lucky that I saw a gap in the market. I saw a necessity for people being supported with their mental health in the workplace or in their businesses. And that was proven to me through my business that people needed it. And so what that allowed me to believe is that I have value. I don't have to stay in the industry or in the corporate world I was in before, that I can have value in another way. I think what I've had to and continue to work on shifting is the belief that my value is an intrinsic part of, or my work is an intrinsic part of my value. And as I said, I started from necessity, needing to put really clear boundaries in place and needing to make my work easy. So I almost through necessity taught myself that it's okay for work to be easy, because I had to make it easy. And that's like a big shift that a lot of people have to go through, is that work doesn't have to be hard to be valuable.
And it can be fun as well.
Yes, exactly. Fun and work don't have to be separate.
100%. So I definitely feel like I'm a completely different human since I started working with you. Do you remember some of the first things I was struggling with when we first began working together?
I do. I remember in our first few sessions, you were just going through the process of being assessed and being diagnosed for ADHD. And I feel like you were coming to a realization about the way your brain worked and about how that impacted the way you wanted to work and why some things felt hard for you. And you were also grappling with how that diagnosis affected your sense of self, I think.
Yeah.
And your relationships with other people. And now look at you.
Do you know what is funny, Jo? Because I found this really fun. I went back to our very first session that we ever had together.
Did you?
I got so emotional. I actually had a bit of a cry because I was like, that was me that was, oh my goodness, I wanted to go and give her a big hug.
Yeah.
Because my life and my world is so different. And it wouldn't have been had I carried on the way I was before, because all I was thinking of was like, I was trying still to be the best. I was fitting into a very neurotypical world, and I didn't understand why it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
It was really pivotal for me because it was the first time I started looking at what putting myself first looked like. And I'd love to share this with you because I actually went back and looked at the notes. So before working with you, Jo, I planned my business for a well-rested, a more focused, and me on my A game. And those days were so rare. And that just meant that I was disappointed all the time. And I never lived up to my expectations. And I felt a huge amount of shame with never getting this stuff done. But I was just working in a way that really didn't work with my brain. And I wasn't honoring the days when my insomnia or my chronic fatigue was showing up. And I was expecting myself to show up as if I'd already slept. And well rested and the sleep deprived me are two completely different people. My default was definitely to take on too much, which meant always being exhausted and burnt out. So what we did do is we planned for the good days and we planned for the not so good days. We defined what looking good looked like and we put boundaries in place. So after defining all of this, I actually took time off and I started really working out how my ADHD showed up. And we didn't start working together, I think, for another 6 months later.
Yeah.
Because, as you said, I was navigating my ADHD diagnosis. I had so much grief, all this new information about my brain. I was just trying to unlearn loads of stuff. And I don't know if you remember during COVID, I was so burnt out from having to hustle. So I had this chronic insomnia, various other health conditions, and I now know that I've got chronic fatigue. So all of these in the mix. And I had a fall and I was on crutches. I had to
Oh God, the fall. Oh, the fall.
I was totally overwhelmed. It was a lot, wasn't it?
It was a lot.
And you know what? something that you did is you saw me very, very clearly, and you unpacked my really busy mind, and you broke it down into such simple steps, which enabled me to care for myself, to put myself first, and understand the steps that would allow me to move forward, deeply rest, and take care of myself. Honestly, it's been nothing short of profound.
Oh, Polly, that's so lovely.
Nothing
I don't
short
know
of
what to
profound.
say.
Can you remember where I was back then? Like, what stands out to you about the business I was running back then?
To be honest, I remember feeling a sense of sadness for you when we first started working together, because you and your partner Mamadou had built this brilliant business, but I could see that you were just absolutely done in, and you were grappling with so much personal stuff in terms of your health and your diagnosis, and I just really felt for you. I feel like the things that really stand out for me are the stories of trying to finish properties and you being there into the night over the weekends, pulling in help here and there, running back and forth to B&Q. And I remember just thinking, that sounds absolutely exhausting.
It was. It was like 16-hour days we were doing.
It was crazy. And now you have your team of unicorns. I remember thinking, like, your business was so impressive, what you were doing was so impressive, and I could see why you were exhausted, both because of what you shared with me about your health and the way that what the business was requiring from you. And yeah, it's night and day between now and then.
What do you think the biggest shift is that you see now?
I see you leaning into your amazing, unique, rare skills, which are, you know that you've had periods of, as we all do, periods of not feeling this, but you have this unshakable innate confidence that I don't think I've ever seen in anyone else I've met. You just know that it's going to be great. Not just okay, not just that you're going to survive, but that it's going to be great. You know deeply what you're good at, what your thing is, and what you're not. And I do think that's a big shift since we first started working together. And I'm sure, like, your diagnosis has formed a part of that. But I feel like you're so confident and guilt-free in your knowledge of what your thing is and what your thing isn't. Again, you know exactly how you do want to work and how you don't. You know, we've talked about you starting this podcast, about you building the elevated life, about all of the new areas that you're moving into. And you're so quick to say, I know that I want it to be easy for me to deliver. I know that I don't want to be doing that 7 days a week or 5 days a week or even 3 days a week. Like, you have really strong self-knowledge, and you're very confident and guilt-free and shame-free about applying that now to the way that you run your businesses. And you take loads more time off, which makes me so happy.
I take so much time off, and thank you for all of that, Jo. I think a lot of that is because I feel really aligned, and through the work that we've done. So I'm really in touch with my gut instinct, and I can make decisions very quickly that, yes, I want to do that, no, I don't, which allows me clarity. And I think knowing where I want to go, that's sort of the pivotal point. So if you don't know where you want to go, you're not going anywhere. Or you're going in a direction that might not suit you. So I very much appreciate that. That's great to hear, especially from going back from that first session that I looked into.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, I love that you listen back to that.
I loved it. I think I'm going to do it, once a year, go back to that. So often as women, we're always looking at what's in front of us, aren't we? We don't tend to look back from where we've come, and we don't add in an awful lot of celebration for ourselves.
No. Yes, that's something I also really have to actively work on with myself, is reflecting and celebrating on what I've achieved or what's changed or what I've done or progress I've made. I'm good at reflecting, but I'm not so good at celebrating, and I really have to, like, talk to myself as I would my clients in those moments.
Yeah. We're just not brought up, or we're not encouraged to do that, are we? It's like, achieve that. It's very capitalism. Achieve that, move on. Achieve that, move on. So going back a little bit, there were definitely moments where I had to unlearn what I thought success looked like, particularly the hustle part.
Yeah.
That was hard for me. How do you support people going through the unlearning?
So I help people think about beliefs, decisions, and actions. That's the 3 pillars of my Me First method. Because if you believe that work has to be hard to be worthy, or to be valuable, or to be valid, then you will take decisions from that place. So you will set up offers where you give 24/7 support. You will say that you've got a 1-hour turnaround time on emails. You will take on all the clients that come to you. And you won't hold any boundaries with yourself, or with your clients. You won't put your phone away. You will constantly be creating content. You will be constantly on the treadmill. What I've learned over the years and working with clients and through my own study is that beliefs can catalyze and change decisions and actions, and actions can catalyze and change beliefs and decisions. So it's like a self-reinforcing cycle. If you start to shift your beliefs, which takes time and takes repetition and takes reminding, it's a lot longer to shift a belief than to start a new action or take a different action. But if you start to shift your beliefs that, for example, work can be easy and still be valuable, then you will start to take decisions from that belief, i.e., I offer support on a Wednesday between 10 and 4 rather than every day of the week. And you will take action to make that possible. So you will write that on your sales page. You will talk about it in your marketing. You will make sure it's included in your client onboarding. And as you bring clients on board into that program, for example, and you see the value that they get from you between 10 and 4 on a Wednesday, it starts to shift the belief that work can be easy and still be valuable. So I take people through that process of beliefs, decisions, and actions, and I keep reminding them of it. And I provide them with audio tracks that help to keep reminding them of those beliefs, decisions, and actions that they want to shift. And I hold them gently and lovingly to account to do that, and remind them when it feels like they're going back to old beliefs or back to old patterns of behavior. So yeah, I try and help people not just do the things, but believe that it's okay to do the things, or not do the things.
I think this is brilliant. Something that just popped up for me, actually, Jo, is since I was probably, I think about 10 years old, I knew I was going to be a millionaire. I've just known that. And I knew I was going to be successful, but I always felt like it was an arm's length away. And it wasn't until about, maybe since we started working together, actually, and I was sort of going, I believe in myself, but why is it not happening? And I realized that it was because I was like thinking of it ahead, and that I'm too young to be successful almost. And I did have a lot of success, but it was now, until I started using I'm going to be successful now, that started getting me thinking, like, what do I do today, in the hour, like within the week, within the month, rather than being like, oh, I just know it's going to happen. It held me to account. So that sort of ties in what you just said a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we so often say, or I so often hear people tell me, oh, I'll go part-time when I've hit this income level, or I'll just offer coaching on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays when I've got this many clients. But the thing is, if you want to work 3 days a week, you're not going to get there by building a 5-day-a-week business.
Yes.
And so, as you say, you have to act from a place of, I want this now. And what can I do today to get closer to that? Because after, the point will just continue to move.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, this leads me on, and you might have already answered this, but what's one mindset shift you've seen make the biggest difference to people you support?
Oh, that's another banger of a question, because there are so many. I think it's when people take their first bit of time off and don't actually work, or look at their emails, or look at their Instagram, or think about content, or take clips to take for a reel, and they realize how good it gets to be, and how simple that good can be. Like literally taking a Friday off and reading your book, or being in your garden, or going for lunch on your own, or going to a bookshop, or like, you don't have to go for a 10-day cruise around Aruba to feel the benefit of taking time off and realizing that, oh shit, I could be doing that every week and I could feel 100 times better, and nobody actually cared that I took that time off.
Oh yes. Do you know, one thing that really helped with me, and I think this will be through the work with you, is I worked out that my brain doesn't work until the afternoon. And so I was like, why am I even trying to do
Yeah.
anything in the morning? So I literally, and I kid you not, I spend about an hour and a half drinking green tea, and reading a book and doing nothing, whether that's being with the animals, you know, putting on Netflix, reading a book, looking outside, whatever. I don't do anything, and I don't schedule anything in until at least midday, but it's more likely after 2 o'clock for a few hours.
Yes, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, the working day in inverted commas is supposed to be 9 to 5, like, let's just bust that myth for a moment. That's only that way because old rich white guys in the Industrial Revolution wanted us all to sit together in factories. There was no electricity, and so we had to do it by the light of daylight.
Yeah.
And so it was 9 to 5 or 8 till 4, depending on the time of year. Like, we don't have to do that. We can work 12 till 3 or 2 till 5 if we want to, and that's fine.
Absolutely. So for the people still in people pleasing mode, and I think specifically women here, or running a business that constantly drains them, where would you tell them, what's the first start then?
So I would, and I've been asked this on another podcast recently, and I was like, I know exactly what I would tell them, and why have I not created this as a freebie to give people? So what I would tell them to do is, it's incoming, absolutely, is one of my interventions from my Me First Accelerator, my group program, which is called the shit list. So the shit list is literally a list of everything that makes you grimace or groan, or that you want to put off, that you don't want to do. And that could be updating that page on your website. It could be figuring out how to do captions for your reel. It could be answering an email from that one particular client. Anything in your business that makes you go like, ugh, or that always falls to the bottom of your list. Write it down. Doesn't matter what it is, how big it is, how small it is. It could be doing your accounts. It could be turning your computer on in the morning. Anything, write it down on the shit list. And then we're going to go through it and we're going to decide what can be delegated, what can be automated, and what can be ditched.
I love these words. I live my life by these.
And so we're going to cut out the stuff that you just don't need to do because it doesn't make a huge impact on your business. We're going to get someone else to do the stuff that anyone other than you could do. And we're going to make the stuff that needs to be done by you, we're going to make it easier for you to do. And what I then would want you to do after having done the shit list is, with all the time that you've freed up by doing the shit list, I want you to book a day off and do exactly what you want to do.
Yes.
And then see how you feel afterwards.
Yes to this. That's such a brilliant start. And actually, people don't always know what they do want, but they definitely know what they don't want.
Exactly.
So that's always a good place to start.
Yeah, exactly. And also for me as a coach, you telling me, like, you sharing with me your shit list, and say it included responding to emails from people asking about when their payment comes out, or answering questions in your group about where to find X and Y. What that tells me is you don't want to be bothered with the admin. You want to be focused on the deeper work. And so what we need is someone to pick up those admin bits for you so that you can be focused on the deeper work. And what a shit list helps me to see as a coach is the themes around what you don't want to be doing or what annoys you and why. And then that helps us to figure out what you do want and how we can make that happen.
And then people can be working more in their zone of genius then, can't
Exactly.
they? So the things that they do have to do. What do you think is one small habit or boundary someone could try this week to shift towards a more sustainable way of work?
This is where I have to really like rein myself in, because I want to be like, stop working with everyone that doesn't make you happy. But I recognize that we need to start small. I would get you to block an hour and a half in your diary for lunch And if you are someone who sees clients or who has a system through which clients can book with you, change your availability in that system so that no one can book over that hour and a half for lunch. And see how little difference it makes to your clients, how much of a big difference it makes to you in your life. And then that starts helping you realize, oh, I can take time off without it tanking my business, without my clients thinking that I'm a flake, and I feel like a totally new woman.
Oh, I love that. And that's so doable for so many people, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the magic in Mijas.
Okay.
So in November 2023, after one of our sessions together, I remember this feeling because I was like, oh, I want to ask her, will she say yes, will she not? And I was like, I'm just going to do it. So I mentioned that I wanted to run a retreat in Spain, and I definitely wanted to have something where people would put themselves first and deeply rest. And I think that's because that's what I needed, and I wanted to meet other people who were in the same situation as me. So what made you say yes to doing a retreat with me?
So I'd already run a retreat in the UK at this point. I ran one in Scotland, and I knew that I wanted to run retreats overseas because I wanted the sunshine and like the extra specialness for people coming on the retreat that comes with, I'm going to go to Mijas and treat myself. Like there's something extra special about that, more special than I'm going to the Cotswolds to treat myself. There's something even more special about that. And also I knew that you would bring your like confidence and it's absolutely going to happen and be brilliant energy to it. And it's not just an energy that you have, it's like you know everyone, like as I'm sure we'll get into in a minute, you know everyone from like Spanish chefs through to like bartenders through to everyone we might possibly need but didn't realize we needed. And I knew that I would really benefit from that energy from you of like, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Do you know, when you said yes, I was like, oh, she said yes. And I was so excited. But one thing I think I've carried through is I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to see what they say. All they can say is say no. So I think, and then as soon as you get rejected, it's never as bad as what you make it out to be in your head. So I'm just saying, when you said yes, I was like, right, I'm in it. I can plan it in a day. As soon as I'm excited, I always say, just wind me up and let me go.
Yeah.
I can do things very quickly. But what made that experience, you think, feel so aligned with the me first values that we both now live and work by?
I think because, and in any kind of day retreat or retreat that I run, I try or am involved in, I try and, well, more than try, I make sure that I kind of provide the antithesis of a lot of business retreats in inverted commas, which are often like workathons in a pretty place. And so it was truly us first and encouraging people to put themselves first. We didn't let them wash up a cup or make a breakfast or fetch a bottle of wine.
Spend any money.
Not a penny. Yeah. I remember one of our guests saying to us that they called their husband and said, there's literally nothing for me to spend my money on. I haven't even brought a coffee. And I was like, no, there's delicious coffee in the kitchen that we will make for you. And that, you know, we had those lovely touches like the welcome gifts and the programs, and we took them to a beautiful beach and we brought in amazing, as we said, Spanish chefs and bartenders and flamenco dancers, and it kind of felt like a holiday come party come retreat for us as well as them.
Oh, it was so special. But the interesting thing is, and for those that I know, possibly a lot of people that were on the retreat might be listening to this, and I don't know how much we shared with them, but it wasn't always smooth sailing, was it?
Oh God, no. Oh no. I think it was 2.5 weeks before the retreat, maybe.
I think it was 10 days.
That literally, like, everything just fell apart. But then it got built back so much better. We'd booked a venue, and that venue just it wasn't aligned in the end.
Yeah.
And we decided to make the decision to not go with that venue and to basically run the retreat entirely ourselves. And it was bloody brilliant. It was so good.
It was so good. You look back.
It was the best decision we could have made.
100%. And you know what? Had we gone along with, so the person that we were going to do it with, she started making lots of shifts, everything from the menu to the wine to, I think we said we were going to have yoga in the evening, but she was like, right, can we have it like 7 a.m? And we were like, no, because the idea was that people can have lie-ins. They don't have to get up. They don't have to have their green juices. They can just be totally themselves. And I think had we gone along with that, it would have been a very different retreat because neither of us would have been aligned. And I think that would have shown.
Yeah.
I think because we are aligned and we love what we do, that does shine through. And we would have had to be masking, faking it. And that's just not us at all, is it?
It was it got to a point where we kind of said to each other, I think we're just going to be terrified the whole time of what is going to happen and how that's going to affect our guests. And we're also like, that would be outside of our control. And so, yeah, we decided to take it all in-house, booked a venue. Polly found our amazing Spanish chef who cooked outdoors for us, which was great because it's so hot. We bought in all our own wine, which was amazing, and we bought loads of it. And we booked the most amazing villa. We found flamenco dancers. We found an amazing bartender. We had a great time. We had massages, we had yoga, we had photographers, like everything. And everything came together literally within like a day, 24 to 36 hours.
It just goes to show, doesn't it, that when you are in alignment and when you know what you want and that there's a purpose and a focus, things can happen really quickly. And I think when you're out, I will keep saying it, but when you are out of alignment, it's a struggle.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting because I've been recently trying to move areas as well as move house, and I had it in my head that I wanted to move to this particular town, and it just wasn't happening. Like, there weren't that many places on the market. The places we were going to see were just in dreadful condition, but they were still in high demand. We were applying for houses and not getting them, and it just wasn't happening, and it was really hard. And I reached out to a friend and was like, look, what other areas can we look at? Because this friend lived in the area-ish that I was thinking about. And the friend was like, right, on Sunday, come and meet me and I will show you around this area. We went, we looked around, we loved it. On the Monday, this friend put us in touch with someone else who was doing a property to rent. On the Wednesday, we went to see it and we got it. And they're not even putting it through an advertising process. And we're getting ready to move in. And again, it was like that. It was feeling hard for a reason, because it wasn't meant to be. And it was the same with this venue, with our retreat. Like, there were all these signs that we were like, that doesn't feel great. And then it got to kind of fever pitch where we really had to make a decision, and we made absolutely the right decision, because the retreat just came together really quickly. It was absolutely brilliant, and it was so fun.
It was so fun. It was so fun. This is one word I really love to use, Jo, is and more. So I always think that the world has a way of working things out for us, just like the example you've just given. And so we were never meant to be in that venue. We were always meant to do this retreat. And by saying and more, it does mean that you've got to put the trust in it will all work out. But when you have that self-trust, and if you know that you're capable, magic can happen. And it did happen.
Yeah, it did. Magic in Mijas really was the phrase, because it was just magical. Like, the way that it came together, the way that it happened in the end. Like, there are things that we've learned and things that we feel we can do to make it easier for us and even more amazing for our clients. But it really was magic in Mijas. Oh God, that was such a great time.
I know. What do you think the guests got out of it that was so powerful?
I think the thing that always surprises me about retreats or like retreat days or even coaching is that what they get is time and space, and things come from that time and space. So for some people, that time and space afforded them the ability to just relax and feel more relaxed than they had done in years. And for some people, that time and space afforded them the clarity about what they wanted to do next in their business. But I'm always surprised at, really, it's very simple. People just need time and space and to be looked after.
Yeah.
And it really makes you realize as well, like, how much we're holding in our day-to-day lives. If all I need to give you is somewhere lovely to stay, someone to cook lovely meals for you, and for you to not have to make a decision for 4 days, like, if that's all you need to feel like a new woman, like, actually that's a really simple thing that I can give to you, or that you can give to yourself, to make such a transformative difference.
Definitely. And I mean, I'm obsessed with the saying, but you can't dream when you're in survival mode. And what we did was sort of lift them out of that. And each of the people that have gone, their dreams have got bigger, and the things that they've shifted and changed has been phenomenal. And as you said, we just gave them a space.
Yeah.
And they all got on brilliantly. It was honest. I mean, it was magic. There is no other word for it. Are you looking forward to the next one, Jo?
Yes, I'm literally like, I was about to say there will be another one, guys, so don't worry. Polly and I will let you know when the dates are confirmed.
We
I've
will
got to
let
move
you
house
know.
first, though.
Yeah. So Jo, what's next for you and your business, Get Wildly Free? What are you dreaming into?
So I am starting to welcome in people every month into my Me First Accelerator. So it's my group program that I've designed so that people can join whenever they want, and they can start to make shifts immediately, because you can get access to all of my Me First method interventions on beliefs, decisions, and actions straight away. So my goal is to be bringing 2 to 3 people a month into my Me First Accelerator, which still means that I only have to be in there on a Wednesday. Like, it doesn't expand the work for me, which is beautiful. And I will always be honest about that. Like, part of why people want to work with me is because I managed to figure out how to make my business easy, and they want that for themselves.
Yeah.
But also, I am starting a second business with a co-founder, offering financial education for child-free women. And I know that might seem like a total sideswipe, but financial freedom is something that we all need and want. And financial education and financial advice is absolutely only geared up for what society deems the traditional family setup. So the advice that you receive, or even when you ask for it, is how to create generational wealth, how to create a financial legacy for your children, how to save for your children's university fees. And I don't want kids, and I want to learn how to build my money and my investment so that I can see the returns in my lifetime. And that just does not exist anywhere. So my co-founder and I are going to build it.
That is very, very exciting. I'm going to be following this very closely, Jo. This is so exciting.
Thank you.
So exciting.
Yes.
I also I want to put you in the spotlight a little bit here, because something you do so brilliantly is, and certainly with me, is just show me where I'm shining. And I don't always see that in myself. So I want to ask you, what are you proudest of yourself right now? What makes you proud?
What makes me proud? Oh, that is hard. I think 2 things. One, I am proud of the fact that I am able to speak my truth, that I am unafraid of being honest, that I'm unafraid of being, some might say, controversial, and that I'm able to articulate what I feel are genuinely life-changing realizations that I would love more people to have earlier on in their lives and in their business, you know, that work doesn't have to be hard to be valuable, that you are allowed to take time off, that you can put yourself first. And I feel proud that I am able to, and I'm good at doing that. And then I also feel proud of myself, particularly this year, for learning a lot of skills that I thought I would leave to other people, because those skills have allowed me to grow and professionalize and make my business more strategic. So I have learned about ads, and I have developed and perfected an ad strategy. I've created a great lead magnet. I've learned about funnels, and I'm learning how to perfect my email workflows. I have spent a lot of time and energy creating my new accelerator program so that it is sustainable and scalable for me and impactful for the people who are in it. And so I'm really proud of myself for learning new skills that I thought I would just wait until I really needed and then pay someone else to do for me. And I've learned those skills and I've implemented them, and I've seen like really amazing results from them. So I'm proud of myself for that.
Well, you definitely should be proud. And do you feel like that gives you a bit more freedom by knowing these yourself rather than
Yes. Yes. And I think, you know, there will come a time in my business where I do want to outsource more. But also, interestingly, through learning these new skills, feel like I've taken a bit of your magic and learn where are like the micro moments that I need to outsource. So I've learned how to set up ads. I've learned about like how to come up with really good copy for ads, but I'm never going to be a designer. So I paid someone to design some ad templates for me that I could apply my copy to. And that has made a huge difference. And so I've really learned where those kind of very specific bits of outsourced support can support me in like applying those skills that I've learned. But I'm sure in the future I will outsource more, because I want to be working less.
100%. I love that. So how do you protect your energy and boundaries, especially as a coach?
So a big part of that for me is my capacity. As I say, I only see 2 clients a day, 2 days a week, because I need space around client calls. There is absolutely no way on the goddess's green earth I could go from one client call straight into another, or even with a 15-minute break, because coaching requires a lot from me, and I want to give a lot to my client, and so I need a lot of kind of decompression time after that. And sometimes I'll go and read a book, or I'll go into town, or I'll make lunch, or whatever, but I need a lot of space around my calls. And so part of that is baked into the way that my business is set up. And also I have therapy, and I go for reflexology, and I journal, and I listen to a lot of subliminals, and I know what I need. So I know that, you know, auditory stimulation is really important for me and can really affect my mood, as can smells and scents. So I have playlists, or I have subliminals that I listen to when I need to kind of down regulate my nervous system. I have some when I want to bring a different, more upbeat energy to the moment. So I guess it's knowing myself, knowing what I need and what I want, and actually giving myself those things.
Brilliant. So I love asking all my guests, what does an elevated life mean to you?
I think it means the financial and time freedom to live the way I want to live, even though I know it's not the way that many people would want to live. The ability to spend time in different areas of the world, the ability to move around when I want to, but feel at home when I move. And the knowledge that it's fine, that's not the way that other people want to live, and actually kind of having pride in that. It's interesting. I think there are, if I'm thinking about ways that like would elevate my life having a cleaner when we move. I can't wait to get a cleaner again.
Yeah.
Cannot be bothered to clean. And also I can never get it as clean as I want it to be.
Yeah.
Having my reformer Pilates classes. I can't wait to go back to reformer Pilates. Something that we've started to do that I feel really contributes to my version of an elevated life is, we live very rurally at the moment. There's a lovely local butcher and they do a meat pack where you can get like 4 different meats in different forms from local farms. And I love doing that and like bringing it home, and then we think about, okay, what will my boyfriend cook with those things, and having outside space so that I can go and have a cup of tea outside and read my book. And really, there are big things like having properties around the world, and then there are small things like having the ability to go outside and read my book or eat lovely locally reared meat in lovely recipes at home. There are big and small things, I think, that contribute to my elevated life.
Why is that version of life important to you?
Because it's what I want, and that's enough of a reason to want to live the way you want to live. And I think that's part of why I do what I do, because it's okay for wanting to be a motivator and to be a reason and a justification. Not that you need a justification. Doesn't have to be the way that we live our lives.
Definitely. So what's one belief or habit that's helped you become the woman you are today?
Oh. I think if my mother were listening to this, she would laugh, because my dad passed away when I was 16 and he was 60, but he was a very flamboyant, vocal man who did a lot of things to shock people. I don't do things to shock people, but I quite like it when people are shocked by what I say or do. And so I think it's that comfort with being different and almost pride in being different. And my mum would say, you're like a stick of rock. If you cut you in half, you'd read John Hooper. Because that's exactly what my dad would do, but for different motivations.
Oh, I love that. So if the audience could take away just one thing from this conversation, what would you love it to be?
That you get to live your life exactly how you want. And if you work for yourself, then you have all of the power, freedom, and choice to make that possible. So start noticing the choices you're making and start making good ones for yourself.
Jo, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your story today, and for walking this road with me over the past few years. It's been incredible. The work we've done together has truly changed how I live and work, and I know so many listeners will have taken lots of nuggets away with them, maybe even given themselves permission to do things differently. If this conversation resonated with you, if it sparked something or made you feel seen, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. And if you're curious about building your own Me First business, I'll leave Jo's details below in the show notes. As always, thank you for listening. See you next time on the Elevated Life Podcast.